Gotta ask for help from the crowd with this one. Orthodox phronesis, I'm sure you know the term I'm looking for. It has to do with the whole thing of Orthodox Christianity always coming to this point of how, because God wants his creations happy, how is it that we do what it takes to bring the person to the position of happiness? And I know there's an entire way that this is the definitive happiness is or the definition of happiness. There's a whole way that that's put. But I don't want to misstate it. And there was, because one of the things that this came to, I keep remembering when I was looking at the Rosicrucians, there was this one particular, this was very popular among artists and actors. The Rosicrucians it really held on in the arts community. Every time, the more I researched it, the more I kept finding it seemed to be bound up with the arts community, and especially performing arts. I also started to notice that with a lot of Masons too. But it might just be because of the area I'm in, rather than if I was in some place that was steel workers and bricklayers that would be associated with that. But anyway, this one guy was talking about how with mysticism that people will find themselves in great states of anger, be over various injustices, either to themselves or, the things they see as an injustice. And one has to be cautious about anger. And I remember then thinking about things that these very Orthodox priests were saying about the focus on happiness rather than really sort of being right and still being angry. He's like, if he goes, that's not the point, so that you're correct in some way. You've done what, the book says, but you're still angry. And so no, the whole point is that that you've come to the point where you've come to the natural point of happiness. Because I just been thinking about, like, when now that science has gotten so bent around, you then have mathematic and factual and accuracy as such a norm, and it's done out of, in a way I was thinking, unhappiness with the result of what accurate and definitive terms are. Accurate metrics, things like that. Science make me have sads. And so I've been thinking about that. So then what happens is a society that you see all this anger, they have access to actually the accurate information. They really are not coming to a point where they're like, if I want to have this full and natural happiness, then I need to have accurate information to know what's in the way of this, what's obstructing this natural happiness, and rather than having anger over what really comes out to just be some kind of fact, and more this is starting to really show through that the left did not develop something that is culturally true enough, intact enough, harmonious enough, that it was a whole that keeps that from happening. So now we actually have almost this mystical, quasi-science mystical movement of the men in dresses, the new, and they believe themselves to be a priesthood because so much about them is beyond anything that can be held in any definitive terms or by any metrics. And so there's some term in Orthodox Christianity that refers to this natural happiness, and that it's in accord. The whole thing would be, it's in order, it's in accord, it's in harmony with and while there, what was it? And it's not bliss. It's not bliss. It's not ennui. It is its own unique concept. that it had to be a fundamental theological concept, because they were like, no, you will feel this, and you will know that you're feeling a closeness with God, and that it could be made. It had to have been something that could be made familiar to the psyche at some point in life, such as childhood, or yeah, probably childhood. I'm figuring that it's probably a term that beckons a likeness to the way that children are with their mother, or when children are young and how they behave toward their parents. So something like that. But I'm figuring that's what it is. So that's what I'm betting. Let's see if I got my orthodoxy down enough that I could bet something like that, right? Okay, so yeah, because I was watching this this person who's left the Young Turks, and they're kind of going off on some stuff that, I mean, they were obviously lying. They're obviously just becoming a Machiavellian liar, and Cenk and them nipped it off in the bud very, very wisely, because that person would have brought them down for sure. Later.